Welcome back, everyone. Picking up where we left off, just took an L to the A's. But the draft is only 4 days away, so we're actually just going to sim up till that point and see what we've got. Pretty happy with the players, and it won't even let us view the guys that we have scouted, but pretty happy with the players that we found. You see JT Pritchett there. First baseman is probably going to be our pick at number 3 if he's available. And then beyond that, we'll kind of see. I think we've got a decent amount of guys scouted at all of the various levels up till about round 4, maybe round 5, and then beyond that, it's kind of a crapshoot anyways. We also, it's not really a new look lineup per se. Most of the guys are still in place, but we're adjusting to life without Javier Baez. Zach Neto moving back into his natural position at short. And then also integrating Patrick Corbin, who has struggled with us just like he struggled in Washington. So we'll see how long of a stint he'll have here. I might give him another 1 or 2 opportunities out of the pen. If he continues to give up runs, then we can put him on waivers, send him to AAA, and be done with it for the time being. We did also add Yanni Chirinos, who we have currently as a setup man, but who I'm hoping can fill a Willie Hernandez type role where he comes in maybe in the 6th or 7th inning of a game and just finishes it out. So that's where we're at there. We also called up Ty Madden recently. He's had 2 starts. They haven't gone great. His first start was better than his second, but in both of them he's been pretty erratic. As you see, he's got in 10 innings, 10 walks, and 7 strikeouts. So that's never a ratio that's going to end well for anyone. So we'll keep an eye on that. We do have other arms in the minors like Jackson Jobe and even Wilmer Flores, who was up with us earlier in the year that we can try. So let's sim ahead to the draft. I wish it gave me the option to put Vierling on the 10-day IL. So yeah, let's take a look at this. First of all, we have really found ourselves in the pits here. We've lost 7 in a row, and in fact, this all followed a 3-game winning streak. We have not won a game in July yet. We got swept by the A's. Looks like Foley may have blown the save. He sure did. This one just seemed like a mess from beginning to end. Yeah, not Turnbull's finest performance, and Matt Boyd unfortunately just kind of did what Matt Boyd does. If you look at our lineup, like a quick scan, the offense really hasn't been too much of a problem. I mean, pretty much all the regulars are hitting at least 240, 250 with the exception of Torkelson. And then Tyler Nevin, small sample size, he's been hitting well over 300. But we got guys who are right around or have been around 300 for a lot of the year, like Maton, Rogers. So pitching has really kind of been our bugaboo this year. So, all right, a couple things I need to look at. I need to look at my roster and get that sorted. So Vierling's still hurt. Looks like he's out for another 1 to 2 weeks. So can I not just put him on the 10-day IL? Yeah, let's just do that. I don't know why the game didn't give me that option from the beginning, but that's fine. And I'm kind of curious actually to just look at the All-Star voting. So we got a pair of Guardians taking home the most votes in the starting pitcher category, which isn't surprising given their record. Let's see where it's at now, 57-31. So yeah, pretty impressive stuff. Just ahead of Baltimore for the best record in the AL. And looks like best record in all of baseball as well. Wow, the Padres been on a tear lately. 54 and 34 all of a sudden. But here, let's look at the All-Star voting besides the starters. Relievers, that's fine. So Zach Neto's featuring in some of this, 370,000 votes. So he may end up making the team. Doesn't look like we have a whole lot to offer aside from that. Eric Haas is down there a little bit. So, not too shabby. Alright, I'm curious. I just want to look. I don't know that I'm actually going to play this game, but I just want to look and see which one of our guys is featured in this game. So, okay, Jackson Jobe. And then I don't know that we'll have any position players. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Blaze Jordan, that's a great name. Pretty good power, too. Junior Caminero with the Rays. Guess right now he's a Montgomery Biscuit. Seems like in real life he has potentially like league-shattering power. Alec Baum, I'm guessing, I don't know what his deal is, why he's in AA, why he's in this game. He's played multiple years on a major league roster. I mean, look, last year he hit 280 in 152 games. Played for a team that went to the World Series. So that's a little strange. Must have been some kind of glitch in how they considered prospects for this one. Evan Carter. Haven't heard of him before, but a potential outfielder, only 20 years old. Alright, we don't need to play that. I was just curious who made the roster. So let's simulate this one. And looks like we did finally end our losing streak and squeak out a win, 2-1 over Toronto. But it's draft time. So let's add some guys to our queue. I think we should have time to be able to make our picks. I got a pretty good idea of what I want to do, but get the queue filled out regardless. Yeah, I think I like Weiss well enough to put him there. I can add Zafala there. And actually, let's do this. Where is Fisher? Francis, not Fisher. Yeah, I want to keep an eye on him. Domingo Rivera, we can keep an eye on him. Potentially Wildman. We do need a catcher moving forward. So we'll keep him in mind. I can make these decisions as they come, but I want to at least kind of flesh out the first 50 or so guys that we had ranked. Alright, that's fine. This also is a good chance to just review some of our possibilities. Durant could be a possibility later in the draft. So keep an eye on him. Definitely maybe Reyes as well. Definitely maybe. But Reyes, like his contact and his speed. I don't think we were too thrilled about what we saw from Pedroza. Although he does have some potentially really high top-end numbers there, and he's only 18. So if he's still around later in the draft, he may be worth a shot in the dark. I'm not too impressed by Charlton Garcia, although he seems like he's really fast, which is nice. But all right, let's get into the draft. Let's see what we got here. As mentioned, we have the 3rd overall pick. So we'll see who Pittsburgh and the Nationals go with. And it is interesting, baseball's draft, because of the whole, slot bonus and kind of what players are expecting to get versus what you have to offer them, and how that causes some guys to drop in the draft. I mean, normally in other sports you see guys maybe dropping in the draft because some stories come out about injury history or character issues, or even you have like an Eli Manning situation where the Chargers drafted him #1 overall, but he had already basically told them, I'm not playing for you. So they drafted him, but immediately traded him. But the MLB draft seems pretty unique in that regard. I don't know that you hear as much of the, hey, this guy's just not going to go play for this team no matter what situation. But you see more of the rising and falling based on what teams can afford or where they're trying to get the best deal. So I'm going to be interested to see how this pans out. In general, budget-wise, we are not top of the top like we were maybe 10, 15 years ago when Mike Ilitch was really making a push for a World Series. But we do have a ton of space in our budget. I mean, one of our highest contracts is actually Matt Boyd at $10 million. So we got a lot of space right now. We're going to have even more space heading into the offseason. So I'm interested to see how that all kind of fits together to sculpt how this draft goes. So let's go ahead and start the draft. See who the Pirates go with and the Nationals. I wonder if our man Vogelsong will be taken. There he goes, first pick overall. Seth Vogelsong. Oh man, what a beard. It'd be a real bummer if they took JT Pritchard right here. It looks like they did not. Don't recognize this individual. That's an interesting one. We had him much further down on our board. So I think it's JT Pritchard time. I'm pretty stoked about what he may bring to the table. 61% interest in signing, so that's not bad from what I understand. Really potential elite power numbers and could be really good power numbers right now. Now it's possible, because we don't necessarily have the best position player scouts, it's possible that our scouts are a little off here, but I'm encouraged by the fact that he is, I want to say he was ranked 3rd overall in the major league drafting, kind of prognostication. So other teams are certainly buying into the hype as well. So let's go ahead and take Pritchett. We also did find that he could play third base potentially, and his fielding is not great, but could be decent. So that gives us flexibility with regard to Torkelson, especially because Torkelson can play the outfield. So I'm comfortable taking Pritchett. We really need to build up our position player depth as an organization, and if he ends up being a big bat like it seems he might be, that goes a long way towards building that out. I got a trophy there, Future of the Franchise. I'm guessing that's just because I made either like a first-round pick or a top 10 pick. It'd be kind of cool, though, if that was telling us something about Pritchett's potential. I've heard about these generational prospects and, how those can be kind of rare to find. So it'd be pretty awesome if he ended up being one. All right, our next pick. Looks like Greg Francis and Chris Perez are both available. Everyone else, I think, from our queue has been taken, from what I can tell. So there's Zafala. He went off the board. Antonio Benitez we had in our queue. We had Wileman as a catcher. So looks like the heard has been thinned a little bit. Now, I do want to potentially look at a position player here just because it's such an area of weakness for an organization. Chris Perez could be a power bat, and the fact that he can play outfield is nice because we can basically just treat him as an outfielder. But I don't know how strongly I feel about investing a pick into him, particularly because we know, at least relatively speaking, as far as you can know anything with scouting, we know that Francis is a higher potential guy, maybe higher overall, a little bit higher interest in signing. He's only 18 as well, appears to be healthy. We got him much higher than everyone else does. So it's possible we could get him at 44 too. That's always kind of the risk you play with prognosticating who's going to go where, because you're like, should we just hold off and draft this guy later and get somebody else now? Francis seems like he might be the real deal though, and I feel a little bit more comfortable in saying that because our pitching scouts, for this year at least, had much higher ratings than our position player scouts. You know, the 3 scouts we had, I think 2 of them had like pitcher evaluation ratings in the 90s. So I think I'd rather bet on that with Francis, especially when we kind of have a coin flip pick here anyways. We do also have, so we have relievers here who I've already mentioned I'm not thrilled about in any real way, shape, or form. So I'm probably not going to bother there anyways. But we do have some relievers like Danny Evers was supposed to go 10th overall. He could be a high potential guy, a lefty arm. I think I'm going to go with Francis though. Perez is still available, so he may be worth pulling the trigger on since we don't have a lot of other options jumping off the page at us. I mean, Villanueva, with only having 5% of scouting done on him, that 97 potential means a whole lot less because that's something that's very common that you see. Oh yeah, it could be 65 to 99, and then you scout them and they're like, yeah, no. But this is our last pick for a while because we're not going again until the 81st overall pick in round 3. So I want to try and make this one count as much as we can. Perez seems to have pretty good power. We've scouted him a good amount. As I mentioned earlier, our position player ratings aren't the greatest for our scouts, so maybe put a little less stock in that than we would with regard to some pitching ratings. But as far as I can tell, it's probably our best bet. We could take a swing with someone like Bartolo Francisco or Villanueva, but it would be just that. It would be like a random swing. Perez is kind of that too, but we have a little more information about him. He could be a big bat. And quite honestly, I'm not worried about the fact that, okay, I have Torkelson, and then now I'm drafting another first baseman. We took first baseman first overall. Not only do they have positional flexibility, all 3 guys that we would take, but also, if he's an asset, we can always flip him for another asset at a different position. So that's fine with me. I'm going to take Chris Perez and see what might shake out there. And now we get into the leaner part of the draft. So my hope was that our scouting would yield some potential diamonds in the rough a little further down. And so here's where it's interesting. David Reyes, we liked pretty well. Had him at 69. The rest of the draft had him at 84. Switch hitter, which I like. Potential only looking as high as 80. But pretty fast. Very good fielder, good contact. So it could be one of those classic middle infielders, almost like a faster Placido Polanco if he was a switch hitter. So I'm really going to consider him. Trevino looks nice on the surface because he's really fast, and it looks like he can get on base with a little bit of pop too. Only 18, but we didn't scout him too much. He doesn't seem very interested in signing. He's looking for a bonus demand that's a touch high for his slot. So, and I never like the fact that we like someone less than the rest of the draft does. You know, it doesn't mean that, especially with our scouts, it's not like they're all the best in the business or anything, but that dissuades me a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to rock with David Reyes and hope that I can get Durant later. I do think Durant could be one of those diamonds in the rough that I mentioned, and his bonus demand is really low relative to some of the other guys. So I'm going to go with Reyes. Take a chance there and hope, because Durant is not ranked in the major league prognostications, hope that he is waiting for us with our next pick. And he is. So I don't think we have to think too much about this. You know, we don't know if it's going to work out necessarily, but we've scouted him. We have him somewhat high up. Let's take a chance and rock with it. All right, getting close to the end here. I think we have 2 picks left. Lance Cho, who I've never heard of, but apparently got scouted in some of the, you know, wide nets that we cast. Might be worth a shot. Could be really fast and a good fielder. Another great beard, not quite as epic as Vogelsang or Vogelsongs, but still pretty good. Maybe as high as an 83 overall potential. Yeah, might be as good a bet as any this late in the draft. Also has almost 60% interest in signing, so let's get Lance Cho. And then our final, I believe our final pick. At this point, we're really throwing darts. So probably what I will do is take a catcher. Saw one there, Charlie Bruno. Might just take a catcher and just say what the heck. It's certainly a position of need, and we don't really have any of these guys scouted much, but this guy at least is supposed to kind of go here. Yeah. It's one area we probably should have invested a little more time in. I mean, we did individually scout a couple of catchers, but I don't think we were ever really going to take them with our first pick. And turns out by the time we had our next pick, the couple guys we looked at were all gone. So Charlie Bruno is only 18, which is a nice point in his favor. Tim McCain could be apparently very good or could be really bad. I don't know. I'll just go with Bruno. Really just acting on a whim more than anything else. But that'll conclude our draft. So, I'm wondering, looks like we can't try and sign our guys until that next deadline, and I'm guessing they're not going to appear anywhere. So I know we normally we would be playing a game right around this point, but kind of inclined just to say what the heck and skip ahead to signing the draft picks so we can sort that out. So first of all, let's see what happened in this game against the Jays. Wencio Perez went deep. 3 hits for him. It's nice. Yeah, let's sim this one. Wow. Alright, so let's just take a step back here. First of all, let's see what the heck happened here. 2 bombs from Torkelson, 1 from Andy Ibanez. Ibanez has not gotten as much playing time lately since our reshuffling. He got off to a really hot start at the beginning of the year, but pretty quickly kind of leveled out and hasn't been much of anything to write home about since. But really good performance. And look at Patrick Corbin out of the pen. 5 innings of 1-run ball, 7 hits, 1 strikeout. So he was dancing through the rain there as it goes. But he got the job done. So I wonder, can we see, I guess I can go into the home run derby and just see who's playing. Yeah, I assumed we didn't have anybody there. Haas probably would have been the closest, and I don't think he was particularly close, so I'm not going to play this. And it looks like today is draft pick signing day too, so we'll take a look at that. I'm not going to play the All-Star game, but I do want to just see who our representative is. I'm going to guess it's Zach Neto, and that's probably it. You know, every team gets at least one, but I think we're only having one. So let's see. No pitchers, which is not surprising. We don't really deserve to have a pitcher. And it's going to be Wenceel Perez, just as we all expected and predicted. That makes perfect sense. I would say Neto is definitely the more deserving candidate. He has pretty much the same average in more games played and twice as many homers. And I'm sure his WAR is a lot higher. But all right, Wenceel Perez, good for the rookie. So that's cool. All right, let's look at our draft picks. So we have a signing big board. I've never seen the screen before. A signing big board, just like we have a scouting big board. And we have a deadline of August 1st to get everybody signed. So we get access to this every 3 days. Huh. Interesting. So same kind of thing with the scouting. As we prioritize guys, that means, you know, they get more attention and more focus. Interesting. All right, so it seems to be very similar to the scouting one. Just goes every 3 days, and we're trying to sign people instead of draft people. So we still don't know until after we sign them, I guess, what their true potential is. We're still dealing with the hypotheticals here. But Pritchett's our number one. Really want to sign him. And, I mean, he's my number one priority more than anything else. Okay, so we have a bonus allotment of 14.25 million. Slot value for the number 3 pick is 7.5. He's asking for 7.4. So that seems fair. Doesn't seem to change much relative to his interest. So I don't know. Maybe try get him up to 62. And we'll see if we can get him. Okay. That's a bummer, but I don't think it's shocking. I want to say, and I assume the show has built this out, that if you don't sign your pick, and maybe this just applies to first rounders, but if you don't sign your pick, then you get, it's like you get an equal pick, but it's one spot ahead of where you were this year. So we would theoretically get the number 2 overall pick next year if we don't sign Pritchett. I think. That could be completely wrong, but I think that's how it works. All right, Greg Francis. He's at 48% interest. Honestly, the more I look at this, this could end up being a problem. We might not be able to sign any of these guys. And we can't even offer this guy a contract yet. I'm guessing because he's not interested enough. So let's see, Lance Cho. We can offer. And I don't want to give this guy too much because we don't even know if he's any good. But he's asking for 412K. This is where it's tough. He might be a complete dud, and we'll have just wasted this money for no reason. So maybe what we do is we just say screw that and move someone like Perez or Durant or Reyes to that spot. And hopefully we can build up interest. All right, so that's fine. Let's do that. And we're going to sim past the All-Star game. Don't really care about the AAA All-Star game. All right, let's take a look at our draft picks. Pritchett's getting a little more interested, as is Francis and Reyes. So let's try this one again. Yeah, he's not, I mean, we're not really able to move the needle a whole lot here. It's interesting, and I mean, I get that this kind of simulates the haggling that goes on between franchises and agents and so on, but it's funny that he would say he wants 7.4. So, and then we give him, you know, okay, here's 7.7. And he'd be like, nah, that's okay. It's like, so then why do you say you want 7.4? All right, we got JT Pritchett. Time will tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But we got him locked in. We ended up paying a bit above slot and above what he wanted, but not a ton more. So he was our biggest prospect, I think, that we needed to come away with. So I'm glad we got him squared away. And let's see. I might try Cho just because he seems like he might be the most realistic guy that we can sign. Yeah, Reyes doesn't seem to be too into it. Let's try Francis. Let's just see. I mean, we're not moving the needle a whole lot here. I'm going to offer him the max and just see. He did sign, so that's cool. So we paid above what he wanted, but according to our scouts, he's a top 10 player. So I think the juice is worth the squeeze in that regard. And let's do this. Let's look at Durant. We can ignore Cho for now. And actually, let's go with that, and then let's go with, the thing is, Perez wants a lot of money for someone who might not be very good. So I don't know if it's really worth our time. Let's just see if we can get Cho. Still got 3 million lying around. Cho's not into it. Whatever. Honestly, I think I'm just going to put somebody else in there. Maybe I'll put Perez in there and just see. The thing is, he wants way too much money, I feel like. All right, I'm just going to keep simming until we sort all this draft stuff out. So we're going to pass through more games than we normally would. That's a big time bummer. I haven't checked it in a while, but I think he was pitching really well in AAA. Not really a high potential guy or anything, but all of a sudden we have won 5 in a row after losing 7 in a row. So great series in Seattle. Zach Neto going deep again. He's had a really good year, honestly. 271. I think he's played decent defense. I guess I'd have to check that. But he's been hitting for power. I mean, I think he's on pace to hit like right around 25 homers. So good stuff there. Turnbull, good Turnbull was in the building. It always seems to be hit or miss with him. Reese Olson, complete game shutout. Beauty. And then the bats came out again. Riley Green, 4 for 4. How about it, kid? That's awesome. Great stuff all around. And our all-star even got in the fun. Wensil with 2 hits. Torino seems like he's pitching well. ERA down to 1.58. So that's cool. Let's update our rotation to help AAA on their way. Skubal, Wentz, still in the same spot. It looks like everything else is pretty much the same there. Olsen has jumped up a rating point, though. Jackson Jobe has gone cold. Still not pitching poorly, though. So, honestly, I think that's fine. Tyler Alexander, does he have the stamina? Not really, no. Garcia does, though. So that'll be our guy. Let's move Freddie Pacheco to closing. because he's a higher overall than Englert, but more importantly has B potential. Let's see down here. Fido's still pitching well, although he dropped an overall. I guess not shocking because he's got a C potential. The Mud Hen's back above 500. Good for them. It's all right. We're also coming up on the trade deadline, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. I don't know how crazy any of these teams will go, but let's just take a look at the trade block right now. Looks very similar to the last time we looked at it. We got people like Gurriel and Cal Quantrill, Trevor Rogers on there. So Rogers is kind of intriguing. He's heading for arbitration, so he's not going to be on a minimum contract anymore, but B potential, 79 overall, 25 years old. So he may be worth a closer look. I'm not seeing anyone else that's really remarkable. Tigers actually got Carson Kelly in real life recently off the waiver wire. Dylan Carlson is another one, similar spot in his major league career where he's heading towards arbitration, but B potential, young guy, switch hitter, can field and run decently. So I'll monitor that. Noelvi Marte, also intriguing. B potential, only 21. This makes no sense at all. James Wood, one of the top prospects in baseball, like a top 10 prospect, is apparently on the market. His trade value on baseballtradevalues.com is probably in the 50s at least. So, all right, not a ton to see there. Let's head to our next signing day. So here we have Reyes, who's up to 45, Durant 50, and Perez is at 44 still. So I guess all we can do is offer Durant a contract. I don't mind giving him a little more. I'm guessing this will get him to sign, and it does. We got the money in our budget, so we might as well spend it. I mean, it's not like, in this case, the money's actually going into our pockets if we don't spend it, so no reason not to use every resource we have. So we'll see if Durant becomes anything. Really not going to bother with Bruno, I don't think. But what I will do, so we still got 3.25 left. Perez wants 2-1. So I think this should give us just enough money. And Show does decide to sign. So that's cool. We'll see what happens next with those guys. We'll keep on simming. All right, so I'm going to pause right here. And it's pausing me anyways. We won another game. Playoff push for the Tigers here. We're all the way up to second place, though, funny enough. That doesn't mean much when you're 16 and a half back, but still funny to see us go from 5th to 2nd in what felt like a week. We're actually only 5.5 out of a wild card spot, which is ridiculous to say, but we're in the mix. Let's look at our lineup now that we have Vierling back in the mix. McKinnon's still holding on to an A potential. He hasn't really developed at all, though. Neto's up to an 83. And yeah, hitting 266, 16 homers. Let's see, only 3 errors in the field, so 2.2 WAR seems fair. Haas only has C potential, but he's up a point. Good stuff. All right, I think what we'll do, and Badu hasn't been all that valuable. And I think McKinstry's fallen off a cliff. Yeah, kind of. So tough to say what we should do here, but I think I'll plug Vierling into left and roll with that. In this instance, I think what I'll do is I'll just, I don't know. McKinstry's been pretty good, and I mean, WAR-wise, he's at 1.5, even though he was getting limited ABs for a lot of the year. So Maybe I'll sit Badu down against lefties and just roll with that. So that's fine. Let's do that and keep on simming. I guess I gotta fix that part too, eh? Yeah, I suppose McKinnon can go down and he can get regular at bats in AAA. I'll make sure that he's starting there. He can DH. That's fine. And whatever. I'm not too worried about the no DH lineup. Now he only plays right, but Malloy plays third, right? So yeah, that's fine. Do that. How's Greg Jones doing in AAA? About as well as he did in the majors. Yeah, driving the struggle bus. Looks like Carpenter was, I'm guessing that's indicating he was an all-star. Jonathan Davis too. That doesn't really make any sense, but all right. Whatever works. Christian Santana all-star. Okay. He is a B potential, so he's one of our brightest possible stars that we have in AAA. And if Feliciano was actually an all-star, that doesn't make any sense at all. But what can you do? So, Mud Hens also continue to win. Let's sim through this one. Oh man, I'm guessing Madden pitched well if we won 2-1. Reeling welcomed himself back with a double. Yeah. 7 innings, and look at that, 9 strikeouts. That's a beautiful sight. Oh my goodness gracious. Somebody stop the Tigers. I think the key here is just making sure I don't play any games. Because ever since I stopped playing, we just can't stop winning. 8 in a row. Wow. 4 back of a wild card spot. That's crazy. It really is. All right, we can offer Reyes a contract. Yeah, not surprised he said no with only 50% interest. And Perez, we still can't. And I guess we can put Bruno there. I don't really think there's any point though. I don't think we're gonna get him to 50%, so let's do that. We still got a little while though, so I'm gonna keep on simming. Oh my goodness gracious. We win another one, but Vierling got hurt again. Not as severe as his last injury, but still not great. 2 homers for Riley Green. Wow. We sweep a 4-game series in Kansas City. We are, let's see, still 4 back, but winners of 9 in a row, which is immediately following a 7-game losing streak. So easy to say this, but imagine if we had just gone 3-4 in that 7-game losing streak. I mean, what the heck? All right. We still got to wait a little while before we can make any draft pick choices, but I guess I'm just going to go back and plug Badu back in there. So that's fine. That works. And let's keep it simming. It's a bummer. It would have been cool to have pulled off a 10-game winning streak, but at least we went down in flames instead of going down close. It seems to be all falling apart. I mean, San Diego's way better than we are, so not surprised. Just can't quite offer Perez a contract. We're 1% away. Reyes is still not into it, although I'm guessing by the time we get to the end of August here, he might have softened up enough. Yeah, just a nightmarish series against the Padres. Like I said, they're 100 times better than we are, so can't say I'm surprised. Turnbull's out for a little while. And, I mean, we have officially just hit the skids. We've scored, I think, 1 run in our last 4 games. So that's not good. And, I mean, hey, we appear to be quoting Billy Joel on the daily by going to extremes. All right, let's see if we can get Reyes. We got Reyes. Cool. Don't know that that'll mean anything really, but I did like him later on in the draft. as somebody that could be a potential middle infielder for us moving forward. We also finally got a chance to offer Perez some money. But it looks like we just don't even have enough money to offer him. So, yeah, I think I might have been misinterpreting the bonus allotment. Like, the screen that I'm seeing, I thought that meant, and I guess it does, huh? We only have 2 million available. But for some reason, it won't let us offer more, because it's saying after that 2 million, if we offered him this amount, we would have 274K left. I wonder if this is like glitched. I guess maybe it's saying, I don't know, because now he has 47% interest, so we can't offer it, but if we go back, he has 51. So I'm sure somebody knows why this is being the way that it is, but I don't really understand why we can't offer him the money that we do have. So let's keep on simming. I guess I need to fix my rotation now that Turnbull got hurt. So let's plug, I guess, Manning in here. I don't want to plug Corbin in. I guess Manning? Yeah. Alright, so we do end our losing streak, which is nice, before it got too crazy. Tyler Nevin goes deep for the first time in what feels like a while. Then we actually win a couple of games. Imagine that, 4 for 4 for Torkelson, almost up to 250. That's really cool. That's awesome. And then shut out the Marlins as well. Wentz seems to have really put together a nice season at this point. All right, so Perez is well over 50%. We actually got him for less than he said he wanted. So I don't know that that'll matter much, but that's kind of cool. And at this point, we've signed everybody besides our very last pick, Charlie Bruno, who we didn't scout and really had no opinion about besides he's a catcher, so let's give it a try. So let's look at the trade block. It looks like Gurriel is still the best there is available. So honestly, I'll probably just let that stay where it's at. Stubbs is also intriguing. And again, I'm guessing, can I not look at my draft picks once I even sign them? So I still don't know what the deal is with their actual potential or anything like that. Curious, actually. Let me look at McKinnon. He has gained 1 rating point since going to AAA and maybe getting some more regular time. Also, I want to look at contract extensions. So Neto's looking for $750K a year. I might try and lock him up. Now, let me look at his contract. All right, he's renewable for a while, so I'm probably not even going to bother. Although I'm going to see if I can sign him to one of these deals. This might be worth it, honestly. See, this is a cool thought experiment where you say, all right, we could have him, you know, at essentially league minimum for a couple of years. But what we could also do, I don't know what difference saying someone is the star versus an everyday player makes, because the playing time is going to be the same for both. But I guess I'll say you're the star. So in this deal, we'd have him for $5.5 million a year for 10 years. As it stands right now, that may be worthwhile. I mean, he's worth $5.5 million a year right now as an 83 overall shortstop who's hitting 271 with 17 homers. So it would really be a bargain looking down the road. But I don't know. That's a tough one. Same with someone like Riley Green and all these guys. Like, I'm guessing Green, yeah. So if we get into this, he's starting to look for serious money. Skubal, he wants serious money right now. So this one's interesting because I think this is probably worth our time. Just right now. Yeah. 3 years. He's 26. He's going to free agency right now. He's not in any kind of arbitration situation. He's just... No, he actually is. I was totally wrong. I don't know why I screwed that up. So arbitration... I think it's better to just lock someone like him up, although the thing is, he hasn't been that great. If he was at least pitching well, then maybe it'd be worth it, but honestly, I'm probably just going to let these ride for now. We'll come back to this. When did it say? It doesn't tell me when this expires, but it does say the next phase is contract extension, so it should last probably for a little while. So, all right. Honestly, I don't know that the trade deadline is going to yield anything for us, which is interesting because we've made a good amount of trades so far, but let's see what happened here. Chaos, of course. And Green got hurt, but seems like he's all right. Chirinos is just absolute nails out of the bullpen, man. He's been great. All right, Vierling's back. Green is hurt for a couple days. So let's plug Vierling back in the lineup. I don't know why Andy, I guess he's in because of Green. That's fine, but let's just play Baddoo instead. I know Ibanez is higher overall, but I think I'd rather just play Baddoo. Yeah, let's do that. And then once Green is back, we'll make the necessary adjustments. Okay. Held on for dear life here. Sheldon. I think that might be his first homer. Nice. Patrick Corbin has been quietly pitching a little better. I don't think he's still not great, but he's gotten his ERA down to 6 when it was, I think, right around 7. So that's not bad. Also, we're still in the mix here now that we've won 4 in a row, of course, after losing, I think, 5 in a row. So we're 4 back. We're in a heap with a bunch of other teams, most of whom are much more talented than we are. Although Oakland, they are also, teaming up with us as an underdog story. Them, honestly, even more so than us. But the rest of the teams around us, I mean, a bunch of top 10, top 15 teams, and then here we are. Cellar dwellers, bottom of the barrel talent. All right, let's see. Trade block is still Lourdes Gurriel is the cream of the crop, so not a lot to drink in there. What I wanted to do was fix the lineup. So let's move Riley Green back in. All right, that looks good. I think we are heading to the draft pick extension time. It looks like I can offer contract extensions for all of August, so I can think about that then. Bruno, not interested. No problem. Some interesting, like, he's got like a superhero device on his forearm there. All right. So that settles that. Neto has gained another rating point, so he's up to 84 overall. All good stuff there. Let's see. He was 2.2 WAR last time. He looked 2.8 now. Just an animal, man. He's been fantastic. Let's see. Jackson Jobe has gained another rating point as well. He's up to 78. He's pitching great. Povich gained another rating point before he got hurt. He's up to 77. Madden has jumped up into the 80s. Torkelson gained another one, so good news all around, honestly. Let's sim past this. And good win over Pittsburgh. All I want to do is look at my actual draft picks and see who's good, who's not. Actually sort that out. Looks like Green in his first game back was threatening to potentially hit for the cycle. I think he was just a homer shy because he tripled, he doubled, and then he had to have singled twice with his 4 hits. So good stuff there. Great performance by Reese Olson. All right, let's view draft picks. JT Pritchett is not a generational player. In fact, is not that good. So I was already thinking that heading into next year, we're going to invest a lot more money into the scouts that we have, so that particularly with regard to position players, we can find guys who are actually good. Chris Perez, I mean, honestly, this is kind of a bunch of busts. So the draft is certainly not any sort of big win or wonderful outcome on our end. We got a bunch of guys who fit in with the rest of our minor leagues in that they stink. And Pritchett's a mess. I mean, 22 years old and an 81 potential, only a 61 overall. That's just not good. So let's look around the league and see any of these guys that we scouted who turned out to be pretty good. Looks like the A's got a pretty good pitcher in Carlos Hernandez. Only 60 overall, but could be good down the road. A lot of these teams have just not much to write home about, though. I mean, 2 of the best picks so far have been relievers, which is never good. I remember seeing Lee Gilbert's name. Doesn't seem all that impressive. Seems like William Gabriel's pretty good. 55 overall, but A potential. And only 19. Valencia is maybe a touch worse than JT Pritchett in terms of, you know, the outcome of picking a guy in the top 3, but he's certainly not great. The Cubs got something here. Adrian Pulido, who I can't remember even seeing him on any of our lists. He is a 75 overall right now. 18 years old, B potential. So that is kind of who we were hoping Pritchett would be. Chris Vera seems decent, 70 overall right now. Have not seen any generational guys yet. Vogelsong, whatever. He does seem to be actually good in a potential 72 overall. The Pirates got something relatively far down in the draft, I would guess. And Eddie Chassin, a potential. Dodgers continue to load up their already bolstered farm system with another A prospect. Catcher that we scouted, Wildman, he stinks, so I guess that's solace a little bit. Really, I'm not seeing too many great players here, honestly. Blue Jays got a couple of A starters. Ooh, Darrell Bromberg seems pretty good. Not very good right now, but 94 potential. Yeah, doesn't look like there was a generational player in all of the draft, and really not too many A potentials to go around. So Pritchett, a little bit of a bust, especially relative to what we paid him. But Greg Francis might be all right, only being 18 and already being 64 overall B potential. So with that, we will wrap up this episode as we begin August. Thank you for watching, as always. We'll see you again soon. Take care.